Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live here this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Just bring this down a little wee bit here. And say hello to everyone as you come on this morning. Claudette, Mike, how are you? And Rosalinda and Lise, good morning to you. Question and answer Friday, Holly. And Brahim from Portland, Oregon. Sandra, good morning. Ruth Ann, John, Nick from our staff, Margaret, good morning, guys. Wendy, how are you? Ziane, bonjour, and Jean, our dear friends, Delia, Sherry, and Betty from Boynton Beach, Florida. Good morning. Etta, Mary, another Mary, Laura, morning. Tina, and our dear friend, Dr. McEwen, good morning from West Tennessee, the University of Tennessee. Maria and Gwen, Julie, Janet, and Alma, good morning to you. Jeanette, hello, and Ruth Ann, okay. Mary and Debbie, good morning to you guys. And Kevin, how are you? From Oshawa. Andrea, Nouveau Brunswick. And Annette, Jerry, oh, those Habs were bad. Deb from Timmins. And Nicole, good morning. Hello, Cease from the Netherlands. Good morning. Mary Ellen and Marcin. Good morning. Chandra and Suzanne from Winnipeg. Betty, Tiny Beaches, Shireen, Diane, and Tony, Labrador West. Well, good morning, Tony from Labrador West. Anna and Corrine. Okay, let's get going. Annette, good morning. Here we go. Okay, we've got a lot of questions. Marnie starts off this morning asking this question. Is cortisol resistance a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Like, if you secrete insulin for a long time, there's actually a question about insulin this morning. I'll answer that later on. But if you do, and you use insulin too much, and insulin is a food hormone, you get what we really pontificated on yesterday, and that was insulin resistance, because it's Diabetes Awareness Month. And what I was saying to you yesterday is diabetes is a problem of food, not genetics, food. And when you secrete too much insulin over a period of time, you develop a condition called insulin resistance. There is nobody on God's earth that has diabetes type 2 that isn't resistant to insulin. Okay, so that's insulin. Now, cortisol is a hormone. It's your stress hormone. It's the long-acting stress hormone. Okay, cortisol, right? It puts you into the fight or flight. It takes you out of the rest. Your body, it should be cyclical, right? Like cortisol wakes you up in the morning and it gets you going, and your cortisol should be highest in the morning and sinking to real low levels when you're going to bed at night. And so many people are upside down with that. And to the extent that would be called cortisol resistance, because when you are stressed all the time, when your body is in the fight or flight mode all the time, and a lot of people are like that. I tell you, one of the biggest issues today in our society, because of multitude of factors, but then compounded by this whole the world is upside down thing, fear. People, I've never seen fear like I've seen in this day and age, in the last 18 months especially. Fear. You cannot run your life on fear. You will not do well. And for some people, they need more cortisol even to get them in to a response, because they're so resistant to it. I've written many a books over the years, and one of the actual first one that I ever published was on chronic fatigue syndrome. And chronic fatigue syndrome is really, I think I was the first guy that talked about adrenal exhaustion. And your adrenals, put you into that fight or flight. And when they get exhausted, you ain't coming out of it. And one of the characteristics of that, of course, is that your circadian rhythm was upside down. You might have, for a lot of people with chronic fatigue syndrome, their best time was just before going to bed. And guess what? They were up. They didn't sleep. They developed severe insomnia. They might fall asleep originally, but then they were up and their brain wouldn't stop working. And I mean, that is one of the most frustrating type of things. But just understand what cortisol does. Cortisol puts you into a state of fight or flight long term. And the reason, my clinic was all about getting people hormonally balanced. And I would draw them a diagram, and I flunked art, so it was never pretty. But what I would draw was a pyramid in my office. I draw them a pyramid, and I would put at the top and this was more for women, but men too, because of course they have hormones, but women are much more complex. But I would draw a little circle at the top of the pyramid. That was your thyroid. At the bottom of the pyramid, out wide, ovaries, estrogen, progesterone. Halfway up the pyramid on the sides, I'd put adrenals, cortisol. In the middle, I would put the pancreas. I'd circle the pancreas, insulin. And then here's what I always did. I said, you see the insulin there? If you want to fix thyroid, ovaries, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, the adrenals, you better start in the middle with food, because that's number one, what you can control. That is why I would talk about food all the time. And I said, you need to change your diet, because crappy carbs, sugar, will mess up all of it. It'll mess up your thyroid. It'll mess up your ovaries. It'll mess up your adrenals. So I said, start with that. Let's start by cleaning up your diet. And, of course, I zero in on, the adrenals or whatever. A lot of people were what we call category 5 storms, meaning all of it was upside down. But it's amazing. It's amazing. And I did one more thing a lot of times. I put a little bit in the middle. Okay, the middle was your pancreas. and then I'd go underneath and just put a little V for your gut. And I say, okay, but if you looked at the whole body, almost invariably, any condition, if you get in that pyramid and fix the pyramid, you're going to fix almost every condition. Now, that took me years to develop, by the way. That wasn't overnight. Years to develop and to perfect it. That is why, the reset. You got to start with food. You've got to give your body all the nutrients that it needs. And this is where I come from, okay? So, Marnie, good question. Is cortisol resistance a thing? It sure is. It sure is. Okay? Nativity. What do I think of SAD lamps, S-A-D lamps for elderly in the winter? I think it's a good idea. Anything that would help. It'll help their melatonin, okay? Lights. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Our elderly, I think, are really been abused in the last 18 months. Like, you don't want to get me started on isolating them. And, I just think that the cure has been, worse than the disease, in my opinion, for older people. I just feel sorry for people that, really have been affected. And one of the things I always talk about, if you want to do something for your seniors, you want to do something for your parents, if they're still alive, get them vitamin D and get them B12. If you don't do anything else, get them vitamin D, give them vitamin D every day, and B12, because those are the two things that they're missing the most. 95% of people that are over 65, I'm telling you, they're low in vitamin D. They're never optimized their D levels. And they got low levels of B12, and they do not function properly without those two. So SAD lamps, yeah, I'm for them for sure. Does fasting tank progesterone? Leslie is asking. No. Now listen, you know that I like intermittent fasting. And I'm a big guy on fasting without fasting. That's the reset. Okay? So, Leslie, no, fasting does not tank your progesterone. There's no reason that it would. Now, if you are on a long-term fast, I'm not big on that, by the way. Look, if you have cancer, you just got the diagnosis of cancer, there have been studies showing that going on a 3-day fast, water, coffee. Don't go fasting without coffee. But a 3-day fast is a real good way to just detox, put your insulin to bed, and on a 3-day fast. I'm not big on that. That's one of the reasons. I don't like it. I like intermittent fasting, meaning going long periods of the day. For example, the one that most people find very helpful is stop eating around 5, 6 o'clock, earlier or the better, and then don't eat till, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, even noon for people. And most people do very, very well. It really helps the whole digestive tract. It helps your body to detox when you're not using insulin. Okay, so, but as far as progesterone, no, I've had I can't see that at all. Leslie, thanks. And somebody, I don't know, maybe you could show me an article or a study, but I can't see the science behind it, to be honest with you. Kathy, I'm prone to making calcium oxalate stones. You know how you get, Kathy, calcium oxalate? You're eating too many vegetables, oxalates. That's the reason. Look, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying, okay? I'm not telling you vegetables are no good. But if you make calcium oxalate stone, look, there's two types of stones that you can make. You can make calcium oxalate or uric acid stones, okay? If you're not a rabbit, ladies, you're not a rabbit. If you're making calcium oxalate stones, kidney stones, like I said, they can be one or the other, uric or oxalate. Oxalates are byproducts of vegetables, mostly. And again, I'm not against it, but for 30 days, you stop eating vegetables, and that will stop you from making calcium oxalate stones. Okay? That's one of the reasons for the reset. I put that right in the book. Okay? If you're making uric acid stones, a lot of people do, gout or even kidney stones, gallstones, are they calcium oxalate? Can they be uric? They can be uric. How do you get gallbladder stones? You don't use your gallbladder. What's your gallbladder for? Fat. It's to emulsify fat. It's to help your pH in your gut, that bile. But if you don't use it, you're not eating steak, you're not eating eggs, meat, and cheese, you're much more susceptible to getting gallstones. Are those calcium oxalate? Yeah, they might be cholesterol stones, made up of cholesterol because you're not getting rid of that bile. But always remember, you're not a rabbit. You're not a cow. A cow has 4 stomachs. That's why they eat glorified salad all day long. They eat grass. They got 4 stomachs. You don't. Dr. Martin, I need my fiber. No, fiber's overrated. Fiber's overrated. It was brought to you by the cereal companies. I'm telling you, I watched them do it. JD, Dr. Martin said formaldehyde contributed to my lung cancer. Did I say that? It could have. I don't remember saying it, JD, but what is the remedy? Well, look, lung cancer, like any other cancer, remember I talked to you. I've been talking even this week about getting rid of, like one of the ways you get lung cancer today could be formaldehyde, and you've been exposed to asbestos and this kind of thing. One of the things, get off vegetable oils, seed oils, canola, grapeseed, corn oil, soy oil. Get off that stuff. Stay away from the middle aisles of your grocery stores because their byproduct of high levels of that crappy omega-6 is aldehydes. Aldehydes is a byproduct of when you're smoking. That's why there was so much lung cancer. And today there's still a lot of lung cancer. It's the number 1 cancer that kills people today still is lung cancer. And here's the reason. It's our food. It's the seed oils we're eating. Middle aisles of your grocery stores and fast processed foods. They cook fast foods in the wrong oil. I talked to you about McDonald's the other day. They used to use lard until some genius, brought to you by The American Heart Association said, well, you better change the oil because butter's going to give you cholesterol, and you don't want lard. Lard will give you cholesterol, and cholesterol is bad for you. Cholesterol is the boogeyman. Ooh. I promised myself this morning I wouldn't get uptight. But I just did. I promised myself this morning no more headaches, but I just gave myself one. When I talk about the lies that the food industry, I always laugh, Tony Jr. and I laugh about this all the time. Did the American Heart Association or the Canadian Heart Association, did they ever get anything right? Oh, get rid of salt. That's no good for you. That's bad for your heart. Get rid of butter. Don't eat bacon and eggs. That's terrible. Blah, 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 blah. Did they ever get anything right? You got to lower your cholesterol, so let's give you statin drugs. Did they ever get anything right? They're always wrong. Ooh. Okay, I promised myself. Calm down. I'm calming down, I promise. Okay? Chantal, I was told I should wait 2 hours to have coffee after taking my supplements. Otherwise, caffeine in coffee reduces the benefits of the supplements. Is that true? Chantal, it's fake news. I can't take supplements without my coffee. Don't punish yourself for nothing. When you drink coffee, listen to what I'm going to say. When you drink coffee, you're taking a supplement. Coffee is one of the most powerful supplements that you could take. Why? It's the true vitamin C at the Martin Clinic. Why do I say that? Because I like it? Well, yeah, partly. My wife says I will never read a negative study on coffee. True. I won't read it. Yes, I will. I'll read it. But it's all based on nonsense. Coffee is full of polyphenols. It has got more vitamin C than vitamin C. Did you hear me? It's got more vitamin C than ascorbic acid. When people tell me they're taking a supplement of the other vitamin C, like, ascorbic acid, I tell them, why do you do that? Why don't you just drink coffee? Oh, yeah? Yeah. Do you like quercetin? Yeah, I do. Quercetin's wonderful. I drink it every day. What is it? Coffee. I'm telling you. It's anti-inflammatory. It's anti-cancer. It's anti-everything. Coffee. I mean it. The coffee bean. Now, don't put sugar in it or you ruin the effects of coffee, okay? You can put cream, don't put milk. Okay? I know I say that maybe too often, but I can't handle the lies about coffee. Like, what is coffee, drinking coffee, the caffeine? What? You wouldn't believe. Like, you got to remember how old I am, okay? Coffee has got a bad rap. I think it came from the Mormons, okay? Like, they didn't drink coffee. And I used to tell them, why? I had a lot of Mormon patients. I said, why are you doing that? Well, it's got caffeine and we don't take any stimulants. Holy moly. I said, this is one of the most powerful antioxidants that you can ever take. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay. No, but seriously, guys, I'm telling you, I've got 150 studies at least on the benefits of coffee. Anyways, so Chantal, no. Okay? Because otherwise, I've been taken my supplements for the last 50 years the wrong way because I take them in the morning with my coffee. Okay. Henna. What do you think about cedar tea? Now, why would you drink henna, cedar tea, when you can drink coffee? I always come back to that. Why drink tea when you can drink coffee? Now, listen. Cedar tea is probably good. Remember the story of a tea that was given to Jacques Cartier, part of Canadian history. You know, what is it, 400 or 500 years ago? Jacques Cartier. And they were given pine bark tea. Now, cedar tea, I don't think it's got the research that pine bark does. Like, I've written books about pine bark extract. But the tea that was given to Jacques Cartier was a pine bark extract. And the rest is history because this has been studied and written. Why did it cure scurvy? What? Pine bark? Well, obviously it has vitamin C in it. So, yeah, I'm not against tea, okay? And it's cedar tea. I really don't have a lot of experience with cedar tea. I know more about pine bark tea. So the pine, okay? But anyway, yeah, henna, hey, drink it if you must. I'd switch to coffee, me, okay? Louise, how do you get rid of fluid built up in the inner eardrum? Okay, and that's not always easy, can get clogged up. I like Navitol, I find the best because it's a natural antihistamine. Okay? So when you take an antihistamine, okay, you know, like Claritin or whatever, you take it for allergies or whatever, then, you know, that's a medication that's an antihistamine, okay? And, you know, you get kids, babies, often, infants, they get an ear infection. And I always tell them, parents, it's viral. 99% it's virus. It's not a bacteria. If you can, please avoid an antibiotic for that. You know, doctors know better, but they often give it out because they feel pressured to give an antibiotic. I wish they would just give her sugar pill and an antihistamine and some Tylenol or whatever for a few days. But pine bark extract, Navitol, is the best natural antihistamine that you can get. And then drink coffee because it's got quercetin in it, which is an antihistamine. Okay. Very good. Very good questions. Josie, is the cancer caused by the human papilloma virus the same as all cancers? Yes, once you got cancer, it's the same of all cancers. When someone has cancer, please lower your insulin. Insulin is a growth hormone. Insulin is a food hormone. Lower that. 1, no sugar. Get off the crappy carbs. 2, lower estrogen. Because any cancer has a receptor for estrogen. Estrogen makes things grow. And they'll grow. Cancer will grow with insulin and estrogen. Okay? So lower both of them. Lower insulin and lower estrogen. That's why I talk about our hormonal formula all the time. It blocks extra estrogen. And we live in an estrogen-dominated world in the environment and even in our foods. Okay. Donna, What do you think of L-tyrosine as a vegan amino acid? Well, I think you're talking about a supplement of L-tyrosine. If you want to eat tyrosine, then I would recommend you eat eggs, meat, and cheese because you're going to get that amino acid. Now, if you want to take a supplement of tyrosine, we put tyrosine, by the way, in our cortisol formula. I like tyrosine. Okay, I do. As far as being a vegan tyrosine, I guess if you're a vegan and you don't want anything that's animal product, yeah, you can do it, but eat your tyrosine. Okay, good question, Donna. Gloria, the preparation for a colonoscopy. Oh, fun, fun, fun. Let's have fun today and prepare for a colonoscopy. Let's have a party. Ooh. She's saying, and Gloria, you're asking, it's full of sugar. Is there an alternative? Well, not that I know of. And remember, you're only doing this for a day, right? And I don't like it. I didn't say I didn't like the colonoscopy. Well, I don't like the colonoscopy either. Who does? But if you're getting a colonoscopy, they want that bowel empty. Just remember, the biggest thing, Gloria, is not the sugar preparation, okay? And I don't know. There may be alternatives. I just never heard of it, like to wipe that bowel clean. It's terrible stuff. Secondly, though, make sure you are taking double, triple doses of probiotics. Because one of the things this cleansing does, it cleans out all your microbiome. Ooh. Okay? It's pretty harsh. And so make sure you're doubling up, even tripling up your broad spectrum probiotics if you're preparing for a colonoscopy, and especially after you've cleaned yourself out. Okay, Rosa, my 3 son-in-laws have dysphagia. Okay, so dysphagia is when you have a narrowing of your esophagus. A lot of people get that. I always tell them, listen, that is a reflex that your body is talking to you. Like, hello, what you're eating is bothering me. And your body's smart. It will constrict the esophagus. And when you get that, you got to clean up your diet. That's why the reset is so good. So tell your 3, Rosa, son-in-laws that Dr. Martin told them, get off their stinking carbs and sugars. Because that's usually what's happening. Okay? Now, there may be other foods. Be your own doctor. Chart your foods if you have to and go, you know, when I eat that, that seems to bother me. Well, there's a clue. There's a clue. And you find out, you know, and look, in the meantime, you might have to, you know, really, really, really chew your food. And, you know, liquefy to some extent. But that's what causes it. It's usually some intolerance. And the first one that comes to mind is the carbohydrate intolerance. It's amazing people have found, holy moly, when I cleaned up my diet, my dysphagia got a lot better. So Rosa, thanks for the question. Annie, what are your thoughts on urolithin A as a supplement? Well, I don't know much about it. I haven't... Annie had a lot of experience with a supplement, but I know what it does. It's to help to clean out debris in your body, especially from the manufacturing plant, your mitochondria. But I you know what? You know what's better than that? Okay, and this is the way I think. It's probiotics. Probiotics will clean up the debris. When you use a broad spectrum probiotic, that's the best thing, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything that is as powerful as a probiotic to get rid of debris in the body. broad spectrum probiotics. Okay? So thanks, Annie, for the question. Teresa, I've heard from many nutritionists that all foods trigger insulin, some more than others. That's true. Of course. Look, if you're eating, you need insulin. But if you're eating eggs, meat, and cheese, Teresa, you don't need a lot of insulin. You hardly use any insulin, but you need some. Every time you eat, you need insulin. Insulin's a food hormone. If you don't eat, you don't need it. But what I've created, the reset, is you're really sending your pancreas on a holiday. You're sending it to Hawaii. Why do I say that? Because you need so little insulin. So those nutritionists are right. They're right. You eat steak, if your body needs a little sugar, you eat steak and your body will make sugar out of steak. So you need insulin, always, but you don't need much. And the idea is to fix insulin resistance, because at the end of the day, insulin resistance is the big problem in our world today. We're carboholics. And when you eat carbohydrates, especially the crappy carbs, bread, pasta, rice, cereal, sugar, sweets, pastries, sugars, juices, alcohol, you are using an enormous amount of insulin. Okay? So, hey, Teresa, your nutritionists are right. Absolutely. Jan, I've had a bug for a week. Could fasting help? Look, fasting always helps. Does it really help your immune system? Okay, do intermittent fasting, Jan. But what helps more than anything with the bug, do a hammer of vitamin D. Do the 3-day hammer that I recommend. Like, hammer it. Okay? And eat steak, vitamin A. It has zinc. Pump up that immune system, Jan. That's really important. And don't eat sugar, because sugar will put your white blood cells into a siesta. So don't eat sugar. I don't know about fasting, but don't eat sugar, okay? Natalie, what would a young person with Bell's palsy? Well, Bell's palsy is, usually due to a virus, attacks the cranial nerves. You get, your face is contorted. You want to kill that virus. You want to put the virus to bed. So all the things that I just told Jan, okay? And, you really want to put that virus to bed. And use oil of oregano. And use probiotics. And vitamin D hammer for Bell's palsy, even in kids. Michelin, what is the cause of tremors? Well, there can be a lot of causes. You can get, just a tremor. Usually, this is me, okay? This is me. What I see, and my experience has been, when someone has a tremor, look, if they can have tremors with Parkinson's or whatever, but sort of a non-Parkinson's tremor. Usually, think of nerves, B12. They're usually deficient in B12, and they don't have optimized levels of B12. Now, nerves, ordinarily, is B12. Okay? So, make sure your B12 is up to snuff. Deborah, what is the underlying cause of Morton's neuroma? Now, what that is, okay, you can get a neuroma like that. That is like a ball. You feel like you got a ball underneath your foot, and it can be very, very painful. And that can be caused by, usually I found that people's metatarsal arches were falling, or bad shoes, women that wear high heels, they're slipping forward. Honestly, ladies, you weren't meant to wear high heels. I mean, you look good in them, but they're not. These boots are made for walking. Well, high heel shoes ain't made for walking, so don't walk in them. Anyway, I mean, those can be, so what do you do about it? Well, I'm a big guy. Take out a ball, little tennis ball or whatever, roll your foot, get good arch supports, wear good shoes. Sometimes people with diabetic neuropathy get a Morton's neuroma, and they just got bad circulation. And those little capillaries going to their nerve endings. Again, I like Nabitol. I like B12, okay? Wanda, atherosclerosis. I think I covered this maybe last week, but I don't remember now. Can it be reversed? Well, it's amazing. It's amazing how your body operates, Wanda, okay? And change your diet. Atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, high triglycerides, low HDL, inflammation caused by high insulin will create plaque in the body, elevate your nitric oxide. That's why I love B12. That's why I love Nabitol, pine bark extract, switch the diet. It's amazing how your body knows how to chelate these things. Get on vitamin K2, because that takes calcium out of your bloodstream and puts it in your teeth and your bones where it belongs. Vitamin K2. What's the highest source of vitamin K2, Wanda? Butter. Cheese. So when someone tells you not to eat butter and not to eat cheese, they're crazier than a hoot owl. So don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. Vitamin K2 takes calcium, hardening of the arteries, and puts that calcium where it belongs, in your teeth and in your bones. Okay? There you go. Sherry, you're the last one. I fast 16 hours with an 8-hour eating window. I heard that you should not do this continuously and you should vary it. No, that's not true, Sherry. I like that. I like what you're doing. That's a great habit to be into. You can do it for as many times as you want during the week and for as long as you want. Just keep it going. Sherry, you feel good? Yeah. Well, then just keep doing it. Nah, your body don't get used to that. It's just good for you. Eating in an 8-hour window. Excellent idea. Tremendous. Keep it going, Sherry. Okay? Okay, guys. I think I answered all the questions this morning. I think. I'll look at that after. Okay. So, guys, Monday afternoon session. Okay? Just remember that. Monday, we do an afternoon session. Okay? So, and we'll post it. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.